Hi all, a very good morning. So in the part of our yesterday's class, we started off with the application services and we have explored the first one, that is about SQS. In the part of our today's session, we are going to learn about what is SNS and what is SWF. So let's quickly make a start here on this. So what is SNS? Now SNS is basically a simple notification service. The term we learned yesterday was SQS, that is simple queue service. So messages can be stored in a queue and then the consumer produces it and the producer produces it and the consumer is going to consume them. Now what happens in SNS, we are basically trying to send notification, that is simple notification service. So SNS is a web service that makes it easy to set up, operate and send notifications from the cloud. It provides developers with a highly scalable, flexible and a cost-effective capability to publish messages from an application and immediately deliver them to the subscribers. Now we have been using a lot of different devices in terms of the computer, in terms of the laptop, in terms of mobile devices and other things, right? Now we do see that we do get notifications in all the different formats. Now if you're trying to make a bank transaction, once it is completed successfully, you get a SMS saying that the so and so amount of money has been deducted from your account and this is your current balance. And if you are trying to purchase something on the any e-commerce website, you get an email as well as a notification in the mobile app and the SMS as well, saying that your order has been successfully confirmed. Thanks for placing the order. Right. So we do see that the notifications do come in a lot of different formats to us on each and every different device. So how do they work specifically? SNS is the kind of service with the help of which they work across. So SNS basically works on the publish and subscribe messaging methodology. Now, what is publish subscribe? So first you need to have a place where you can go ahead and publish a message and people should have subscribed to that, right? So now if you talk about the subscribe, it is something like the way we have it in the YouTube, right? So you do first log in into your YouTube with the help of your Gmail or the Google account, and then you start looking at the videos. And if you are interested in watching more videos of the same channel, what do we do? What would you do? Specifically, we go ahead and subscribe it, and the moment we subscribe it, we do get the notifications from that specific YouTube channel all the time. So whenever there is a publish happening on that specific channel, you get a notification. So that is basically publish and subscribe messaging paradigm, with the notifications being delivered to the clients using a push mechanism. So using this, we are specifically eliminating the need to check or poll the new information for updates. Now, if you remember, in the SQS, consumer always needs to go back and check on the queue if there is message available or not for processing. So that is basically a poll. Now, when we talk about SNS, it is more about push. So with simple APIs requiring minimal upfront development effort, no maintenance or management's overhead, with pay-as-you-go pricing, Amazon SNS gives developers an easy mechanism to incorporate a powerful system with their applications. So push notifications to the Apple, Google, Fire OS, Windows devices as well as Android devices with China with the Baidu Cloud Push. So with the AWS Cloud, we will be able to push notifications to any of these specific devices on any of these platforms. So there's no differentiation on the way we can push the notifications from the SNS of the AWS. Besides pushing the cloud notifications directly to the mobile devices, Amazon SNS can also deliver SMS text message or email as well, right? So it's not just the notifications onto the mobile devices, but you can also send in across the SMS, you can send in across the email, or you can also have any HTTP endpoint or something as such. So these days, I'm sure you guys would have seen that there are a lot of endpoints, HTTP endpoints that come up. I'm not sure if I'll be able to show it here. I'll just try to code and so usually I'm sure you guys would have seen sometimes that the moment you open the browser, the notifications start coming from the bottom or maybe from the top here. Usually what happens here in this case is you might have subscribed for some of the notifications here. You see here that this is the one. So on this specific browser with this specific email ID, I have been subscribed for this PVR notifications. So it is already always showing me the notification here. So I can just close it. So these are nothing but the HTTP endpoint notifications. That is how we get it across. Yeah, so Amazon Simple Queues services, you can also send an SNS notification to SQS. You can send it to any HTTP endpoint like we just saw one. And the SNS notifications can also trigger a Lambda function. So that is really cool that from here, if you want to trigger a Lambda function, you can just send the message in the format of maybe some code and send it to the Lambda function, and that Lambda function gets triggered. When the message is published to the SNS topic that has Lambda function subscribed to it, the Lambda function is invoked with the payload of the published message. The Lambda function receives the message payload as an input parameter and can manipulate the information in the message. So you already have some Lambda function written, but it requires some input parameters to be processed. Let's say you can have any certain specific example. Yeah, so let's say you want to process something with the help of the Lambda. So you have already written that function maybe in the Java, Python, or Node.js, or maybe C Sharp. So that need certain number of input parameters to get invoked with. So you may send those things with the SNS topic. So if the Lambda function is already subscribed to the SNS topic, whenever a message is published to the SNS topic, the same will be sent to the Lambda, and the Lambda will consider those as the input parameters, and then will start running the function, and then execute whatever is being written in the specific code, maybe in the Python or Node.js or Java. Publish the message to other SNS topics or send the message to AWS services. So with the help of SNS, we can send across the notifications to all these different things. One could be like SMS, second would be email. You can also send the message to SQS. You can send it to HTTP endpoint or maybe the Lambda or few more things. Let's go ahead and explore them by looking at the things practically. I'll just go ahead and log into this. So while this logs in, we'll just understand a little more on SNS. So how does the SNS basically work? Now, as I just said, usually what happens in the normal case scenario when we log into the YouTube these days, right? So it's just like you have to subscribe and there's something called as bell icon, and then you get the notifications of all those things, right? So SNS. Yeah, so if you're talking about a YouTube, how does it work? Specifically, we will log in using a Gmail or Google account. You go down to YouTube, you have a lot of different channels, you place a subscription on that, and then you also have something called as a notification icon there. So let's check out here. So if you see, this is one of those specific channels, let's say Savji. So if you see here, there is something called as subscription, and then this is called as bell icon here, right? So if I make a subscription here, so I will be able to get all the videos on my homepage. But if I make a bell icon subscription also here, so I will be receiving a notification whenever there is any new video that has been launched by this specific channel. Similarly, in our case here, I'll let a notifier. And now when we talk about the things that work in AWS, what will happen? We would expect the person to log in with their email or maybe something else, and we would ask him to confirm the subscription first, right? So how do we do it? So we basically have an access point, which we basically call as a topic. So people have to subscribe to a specific topic, and then they will be able to receive a notification whenever there is a publish happening on this access point or a topic. So let's quickly look at it. I'll go down to the AWS account. I'll click on services. So first thing is we have to actually go ahead and create a topic here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create topic. So it's going to ask you the name of the topic, right? So I'll just say maybe AWS training, and then the display name it is asking me. So I'll just keep it the same. So there you go. So we have successfully created a topic. Now I specifically have created a topic like AWS training so that I want to let the students know whenever there's a new batch of training that is being going to be announced by me. So let's say there are people who have subscribed to my channel and they would like to know whenever the new batch or any new update that's been coming up from my side, they would like to know about it. So they have to specifically first subscribe to this topic, only then they will be able to receive the notifications. So I have created a topic where I make all the updates and the things to be flown across, but people have to create a subscription here, or maybe they have to follow me so that they'll be able to get the updates. So let's go ahead and manually create one subscription from inside the tool. So how do we do it here? I'll click on create subscription, and then it's also going to ask you what are all the different endpoints that you can use across. So as I said, we can have HTTP endpoints, HTTPS endpoints, email, email JSON, SQS application, or the AWS Lambda. Now, if you are trying to push across it to the mobile application, you may go for the application part. If you want to process something, you may go to the Lambda. If you want to send something as a message to the SQS queue, and from where the consumer is going to pick up and process it, you can put it in the SQS as well. Or it's just an email notification, go with email. HTTP or HTTPS is something that we just saw a little while, the notification that way that comes across. So I'm going to pick up the email here. So it's going to ask me what is the email that you would like to put across in this case. So I'll just say here, I'll pick this email and then say create subscription. Right now, if you see here, it says the subscription ID is currently pending because we are trying to add it from the backend. It needs to get a verification from this specific email ID. Now, usually what happens in the YouTube or any other place, like if you go to the Flipkart, you have a sale for the mobiles, right? Or if you go to Amazon, sometimes you have a sale for the mobiles. So what happens in that case? We are already logged in using our Amazon account, and then we are saying that I'm interested in the sale, so I would like to register for it, right? So there we have already confirming from your email ID itself that I'm interested in that subscription, interested in the subscription of getting the details about that mobile, when it's going live or when it's the sale is starting and other things. Here in this case, we had added it from the backend, so it says the subscription is yet pending. So let's go ahead and confirm the subscription. I'll just go down to my email ID. So there we go. So whatever was the display name we have given, it's trying to come with that specific name here. It says AWS training, and it's showing that the notification subscription has to be confirmed. So this is the one. I'll click on confirm subscription. So there we go. It says the subscription has been now confirmed for this specific email ID. Now if I go back to the console here and click on the refresh on the SNS part, so it has got the specific subscription ID. Now whatever is being published to this specific topic, automatically everything will be delivered to this email as well. So let's say I want to publish something, some message saying that my new batch of training is going to start somewhere in next week, something as such. So I'll just go ahead and say, I'll just keep subject as update, new training batch. So I just write a message. Hi all, I'm glad to announce training on AWS from some XXXX date. Thanks, and then I just put my email. Right. And then I'll just go ahead and say time to live. So there is something called as TTL, which means this is the amount of time that this message is going to stay on the server. Or if you click on this here, so it says enter the TTL value in the seconds. The same TTL value will apply for all the mobile platforms as well. Now TTL is nothing but, let's say I'll keep it as 86400 and then go ahead and then publish. 86400 is basically number of seconds that is equal to one single day. I can go ahead and now say publish the message. Now why do we use TTL? Now if you specifically, let's say you have switched off your mobile or your mobile data is switched off. Now Flipkart has tried to send you a notification saying that yes, there's a huge sale that is going to come up on the Sankranti festival due to the eve, and you may be interested in purchasing some electronic products. So what does the Flipkart would do? It has sent a notification, but your mobile data or your mobile is completely switched off. Now whenever you are going to switch it on, sometimes you may get a delivery, so you may not. That is because of this TTL. Now every message has specific time that can live on the server. So in that specific case, if you have not switched on your mobile, then that message notification would not be delivered to you. So it does happen. So if you go back and switch off your mobile today and try to open it after 1 month, you may not get all the message notifications that were required to be received as and when they were published, because most of the messages would have been expired. So I'll just quickly go ahead and say publish. So now we have successfully published the message, and this is the request ID with which it was published. Now if I go back to my email and then refresh it, you see here I have received an email from the AWS training, and then it says update, the new batch training is about to start, and it says hi all, I'm glad to announce about the training on the AWS batch on so and so date, and thanks for that. So here it is also going to show me in case if I want to unsubscribe it, right? So this is the point where I can unsubscribe it. I'm not sure if we still have something on Amazon at this point of time. Recently they had launched one of the mobile that is 10 or D, and there was a subscription required for that as well. So let's check if that is still happening. That is a practical workaround of how the Amazon SNS is being integrated with Amazon.com. Maybe I'll just check for this one if it is any. Yeah, so we have something called as notify me. Now the moment I'm going to click across, it doesn't know who I am, right? So it's going to ask me to log in into my Amazon account. So I'll just go down to my Amazon account page where my login is already done. Right, so I'll just go ahead and click on the notify me here. So it's going to ask me to log in inside this Amazon account so that it can identify that I am the correct person. And there you go, it says subscription has been confirmed, right? So my subscription has been confirmed here. Maybe let me check on this part here if I got received email here. Yeah, there we go. So it does give me saying that I have successfully subscribed for this game, this one, right? So in case if I want to unsubscribe, or you always get a button unsubscribe here. Same is the case in our email as well here, but we just need to configure something. So it's instead of showing so big link, we can just configure it to be a bit behind the button, right? So this is how they have actually configured everything. Now whenever the sale is going to come up, I'm going to be receiving a notification on this specific part here, right? So you can also always check all your subscriptions. So if you go to amazon.in or .com, so whatever things you have subscribed for till date, it will show you everything here. So I have been playing around with a lot of different mobile sale that were going around, so I can go ahead and unsubscribe to each of these topics. So specifically each of this is a topic here, and you can go ahead and unsubscribe to them at any point in time. Now whenever this specific mobile is going to go live, let's say it was in 2017, I just went ahead and made a subscription. So just before the sale, around 1 hour or 2 hours before, they'll make a publish a message saying that this sale is going to go live in next 2 hours. Maybe you are interested to buy it. So they're just trying to send us a reminder. Right, so this is how the subscriptions actually work in the Amazon SNS. So any questions or queries here on the SNS part of the thing?
Pawan, Rahul here.
Yeah,
Yeah, so can you quickly show how to send a simple message using SQS and how to integrate SQS with SNS or SNS with SQS? Because
mentioned.
yesterday, huh?
Yeah, then come back again.
Can you quickly show how to send a simple message using SQS and how to
Yeah,
integrate SNS with SQS? Because yesterday I tried, uh, but even I searched in Google, but it everywhere it's showing as FIFO. But we don't have any option right now in FIFO, right?
correct. I guess they have removed it recently, because even yesterday I was like a little confused. I was even checking a couple of times, because recently that FIFO had come in between around in August or September, and because earlier it was only a standard queue, and again I guess they have removed that FIFO queue format. Maybe they could have been something that has been deprecated for a while, or maybe they are going to add it back after some days. I'm not sure. So even I was like confused yesterday while I was telling you guys on the SQS, because it's been a while that I have been seeing that screen where we have a standard queue and the FIFO queue. So let's check it out. So yesterday, if you remember in SQS topic, we had left the last part, that is SQS fanning out. So what happens here is you can just go ahead and say that SQS here, Amazon SQS as a protocol. Now, before we do that here, I'll just go ahead and open the Amazon page again. So AWS page again here. So first you have to create an Amazon SQS queue, and for everything, every small thing that we spin up in the AWS, right? If you're trying to use any resource, you will get a specific ARN, right? Similarly, when I'm going to use SQS here, so I'm going to get an ARN here. So let's go for SQS. So I just need to go ahead and create a subscription to that specific ARN itself. So if I talk about Amazon SQS, so ARN will come in this specific format, and I have to create a subscription for that. And I guess they have made a lot of changes to this SQS queue. Even I was just trying to check out what happens in here. Like we can just go out and look out for the queue actions. You can actually send a message directly to see how it works. So if you just want to send across some complete code here, or maybe just a message, you can put it here. And if you want to send it something as input parameters, you can give the name and the value of that parameter. Maybe let's say if it is a variable with the name, you can just put something like, okay, let's say I'm trying to add two numbers, so I can just say number 1, and then the value is maybe whatever user is going to enter from the end point. So he is going to enter 10, maybe something like this. So they have actually made a lot of changes to the SQS queue in recent time, I guess after the reinvent. So I can just put across some message and then say send message to this. So currently I have sent a message to the SQS queue, and then I can close it. Now you see here the messages available will be showing it as 1. So I can actually go back to the queue actions and then say view or delete the message. So if you want to see what all are the messages that are available in this specific queue at this point of time, so it can show up to 10 messages. You can configure this at any point, and the polling is currently set for the 30 seconds. So we can actually go ahead and say start polling for the message which is already available. So it is going to poll this message at this point. So this is showing me that this is a message. I can go ahead and click on the more details. So it is going to show me the complete message. So I guess whenever any other thing is being put across with the SQS, like let's say consumer is going to come down, is going to specifically poll this, and is going to set a change view across these points. Right. So once the polling is correctly done, and if you think the message has been processed, you can go ahead and say delete this message for a while. Right. So that gets deleted. So I can select this one and then say delete the message.
Actually, when we hit a URL, so it should show our actual message, right? Did we made it as a public?
Which one?
The message.
No, message is not public. Message is specifically only inside this queue. It is available only for the people in the queue.
Yeah, in the last class you said that when we hit a URL, it would be showing the message, right?
No.
Go back to the summary, details.
Next slide.
No. Previous SQS main page. Can you please close this? Can you please close the polling? No. Yeah. So actually, we have a URL, right? In the details section below.
Yeah. So this is the endpoint. So basically, what happens is now, if I want to integrate with third-party applications, so I can use SQS here, and I'll be able to use as a I can integrate with third-party applications as well. So I don't want to use complete AWS as a AWS cloud itself. I just want to use one specific service, right? So In that way, I'll be able to use this across. I have not explored these ones. Currently, maybe we have to just configure certain set of parameters
Yeah, yeah,
in
same
which
thing I
we are
will
going.
do.
So now if I have to use this ARN, that can be used with the SNS. So this ARN I can put across back in the SNS. So this gives complete idea saying that this is the Amazon resource name, this is the AWS part, and SQS is the name of the service which is being configured in the AP South one for this AWS account, and this is the name of the queue, that is test queue. So now if I go and say create subscription, so since it is automatically being a part of the Amazon service itself, so subscription ID gets created automatically here. Now whenever I'm going to publish it, it is also going to send a notification, one of them to the email and one of them to the SQS. I just look out at that part on how we integrate this with the APIs, because usually what happens is if I have any third party application and that wants to make use of this queue whenever there are any messages and want to poll across, so we are going to use this endpoint itself. So I'll just check across how we can actually access the using this. Maybe directly it might not be accessible. If you remember, there are certain Chrome extension tools like I have a lot of them here. So there is something called as Postman tool which can be usually used across to retrieve the feeds from the APIs. So from there, maybe I'll just try to check it once and then maybe let you know. If you remember the last part is what we left was SQS spanning out, right? So SQS spanning out is this thing itself where our SQS topics are actually subscribed to the SNS. Yeah, so we create an SNS topic first, and then we create a SQS queue. So all the SQS queues can be now subscribed with the SNS part. So whenever a message is being sent to the SNS topic, the same message will be fanned out across to all the SQS queue. So what did we do in our case? We have just created one small SQS queue that is put across. So if you think that one message has to be processed by the multiple servers at the same time, which has to be sent as a message to a lot of different things, then you can actually do this with the help of SQS in conjunction with the SNS. So you are creating SQS queues which are being added as a subscriptions to the SNS. So any questions here on this part of SNS?
So can you please publish a simple topic so that I can check it in SPS?
We have received it here. Let's go and see messages. It is not sent yet. Yeah, so it has no received. So here it is received from the specific SNS, and then here are the message attributes that we would have been sent across. So here it has put the attributes in this itself. That is a test and the thing that we have passed across string type. So it does not come in the message attributes. Maybe we'll have to just reconfigure something so that it comes automatically in the attributes part of the SQSK. Does that help, Rahul?
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Sir was about the SNS and quickly going down to HWF here. So HWF is a very small topic. So HWF is basically a simple workflow service. Now we all know that there are a lot of things that are basically workflow based in our normal day-to-day life. Like let's say if I want to order something on an e-commerce website, maybe let's say I want to place a loan application in some bank, or maybe I want to go ahead and purchase something. So everything is like basically a process in our day-to-day life. So SWF is something like that with a workflow service. So wherever you want to create any workflow kind of service, you can make use of this. It's a web service that makes easy to coordinate the works across the distributed application components. Now, with the help of SWF, we can enable the wide range of application use cases like media processing, web application backends, business process workflows, and analytical pipelines to be designed in coordination of tasks. Now, if you think there are some tasks that has to be done at each level by some certain authority, or maybe the servers, or maybe something else, right? That is when HWF actually can be more useful. As I said, an example about a banking application. Now, first, as an end user, I need to apply for a loan. Maybe it's for a two-wheeler, maybe it's for a four-wheeler, maybe it's a home loan, maybe or it's personal loan. I have to first specifically select the category, and then I'll apply for the loan with the details. It goes to the second level where a certain person is going to help me with, okay, these are all the documents required in case if you would like to go for a personal loan, and you may be most welcome to come down to our branch so that we can assist you better. He'll write in the email, right? And the next level will be, we want to automate this specific portion. Like I going to bank and doing all these things is not worth enough, right? So if I want to get everything by sitting at home, how can we do it across? So now certain parameters already given to the system. So the moment I'm going to say I want a personal loan or a home loan or something as such, I have to fill in certain number of parameters, and automatically the system has got few things which is going to check out my credit history or maybe something else, and then it's going to give me a pre-approval or something as such. And once the pre-approval comes into the picture, automatically it goes to the higher level authority. They'll disperse the loan, I'll get it into my bank account. So everything is a process. At every point and every step, we do have certain number of actions to be taken case. Like at first I'm going to fill in some details, then machine is going to get it approved, and then it goes to the higher management where they are going to recheck complete details of me as an individual and what machine has approved. And if everything goes well, they are going to release it to my bank account as a loan. So it is a workflow. So those kind of things we can actually put across into the HWF so that we can easily coordinate the complete process flow. So tasks, there are tasks at each level, right? So for me, the task was to fill in certain set of details for the application of loan. Now the task for the higher level will be to recheck all the details and then disperse the loan. So there are tasks at each level. So tasks basically represent the invocations of the various processing steps in an application, which can be performed by executable code, web service, human call, human actions, or the scripts. So we just spoke about it. It can be a human, it can be a computer, it can be a web service call, or it can be anything else. When do we say it's a web service call? Let's say the moment I apply for a personal loan, it needs to check for the credit history of mine. right? So how does it make a check? So now credit history is available on the third-party website. So it will ask me to enter the PAN card. So the moment I'm going to enter the PAN card, the PAN card will be sent as an input parameter to some other third-party website from where it is going to determine the details and find out what is my credit score. And the moment it gets a credit score, then the machine has got the script has got the input parameter of the value, right? So let's say it says the credit score is 900, and then with the help of that, it's going to process the other things. So it can be a script, it can be executable code, web service call, or a human action behind it. Now in the HWF, we have three main things, that is workflow starters, deciders, and the activity workers. So starters are the people who start the workflow. So it can be a human, who could be like placing an order on an e-commerce website, or maybe a mobile app who's searching for the bus timing, or we just spoke about for more example, like placing an order on for placing an order for the loan. So deciders are the one who control the complete flow of activity in a workflow execution. If something has to be finished in a workflow, a decider has to decide what next has to be done. Like if your credit score doesn't match as per the requirement, then what should happen? Right? It should send an in your email notification saying that sorry, we will not be able to offer. And if it is correct and good enough, then it has to send it to higher management. So we write all the conditions in the deciders. So the deciders are the one who completely control the flow of activity. Now whenever you place an order on Amazon, let's say there was some problem at your credit card or debit card payment and it didn't get through, like your credit card payment was successful but Amazon was not able to recognize it, or maybe something went wrong, or there was a power disconnection or something went wrong and the order was not correctly placed across. So what does Amazon specifically do? You may have seen that it gets a status with revised payment method. So it will wait for the 15 minutes to check out if the bank process or the transaction was successful and did it receive the transaction ID or not. So if it has not received, what it will do, it will ask you to make the payment again, or in case if it is already received it, then it is going to send you a confirmation email saying that yes, we have received your order and this should be dispatched by so and so specific date. Then we have the activity workers. So the workers actually carry out all the tasks at each level. So when we try to compare HWF with the SQS, there are certain things that we can actually put across in this specific comparison. Now SQS, as we all know, retention period is maximum 14 days, which means any message that is sent to SQS, maximum amount of time it can stay is for 14 days. In HWF, since it's a workflow, I can keep the complete workflow for 1 year. So let's say today I would have placed something into the Amazon cart and left it off. So you may want to check this thing. So if you put something in the cart, it is going to stay for 1 year overall until you are not going to remove it from that specific cart, until unless they don't have any external programming done. If it is completely built on HWF, so it is going to stay in your cart and you may check it across to see it. I'm not sure. I have closed Amazon, I guess. Yeah, so we have closed it. Yeah, so in this cart, the items usually stay for almost 1 year, because the moment you place the item into the cart, that is when the HWF workflow starts. And Amazon HWF represents a task-oriented API. So when we talk about simple workflow service, it's all about the tasks. Means at each level we have certain set of tasks to be completed. Like in order to place the order, in order to place a order on the e-commerce website, I need to complete certain set of tasks. It is like I need to select the item, I need to select the address, I need to select a payment gateway, and then I need to move across to place the order. So these are the steps that end user has to do, and then he'll be able to proceed to the next part. So when we talk about SQS, it is basically a message oriented API. So I just get a message and that these things has to be processed, something as such. HWF ensures that the task is assigned only once and is never duplicated. So in HWF, there is no way the duplication happens, but in SQS, we need to handle, because it completely depends upon the message visibility timeout. So if it expires and the message was not processed, the same message will be delivered again, and my code has to be in such a way that even if the message is being delivered second time, it should not create any duplicates. And Amazon SWF keep tracks of all the tasks, events in an application. So we all know whenever you're going to place an order, so you will automatically get all the details. So Pawan has placed the order on e-commerce website at Amazon at so and so time, and so this is the address, this is the payment gateway method, something all used, right? So we can actually keep a track of all the tasks, all the events, what happened in the SWF. But with SQS, it doesn't happen. You need to create your own application level tracking in case if you want to make it. So that was about SWF part. Any questions or queries here on the SWF?
On one last question. So, do we write any codes or templates?
Yeah. So if you have heard about the tools like TIPCO BPM or IBM BPM or maybe the Pega, right? These are
Yes.
all basically workflow based tools, right? So what happens is most of the things will be drag and drop, but you have to write some of the code maybe in the JavaScript or a piece of HTML, something as such. So each step that we define in the SWF, we are going to make the code. So what should happen at this step, or we may give a check on what all should be taken care about at each step. So Amazon has actually implemented the SWF in the Amazon.in and .com as an e-commerce website. So they say that the workflow start the moment I start putting the items into the cart. That is how it works. So I have worked in IBM BPM where we actually design the process workflows, and each workflow at each step will have certain steps. So we can actually configure them and then say what has to have happened across this part. So this is something like how we actually design the BPM. So here it is like showing a request for the hiring process. So the usually a hiring manager starts the application process here. It submits a request, and people will all get the receivers will all get a notification saying that the hiring for this company has started and the form has been published outside for everyone. So they go down to the link which is being sent in the email or maybe on the any web page which is available. Then they click on this and then they start review. So all this process goes on. So this is how we actually design the applications. So this is a specific UI of the business process flow. So when you click on this specific button here, so here if you see a small image, right, that is about user. So if it is a system, you will have something else here. So this is very low. Yeah, so this is how it appears. So you may specifically design the application like this. You can say what are the things that you need to validate on a specific page. You can create the buttons. You can just go and drag and drop and then start putting the HTML attributes or the things. So it's a very simple thing that we usually do it across in the BPM part. So you can integrate it with the third-party applications and then already developed applications. Maybe you just take the input parameters from there and then try to validate them across. The SWF simple example would be something like this itself. Whenever I'm trying to place order on Amazon e-commerce website, like if I go down and say I want to purchase some item, I'll have to first go ahead and put it into the cart. Now, the moment I go ahead and click on the cart here that I would like to go ahead and process this order. Let's say I want to purchase this pouch of ghee, and then I would just go down here, proceed to checkout. Right. So the first step it asked me was to go ahead and collect the items and put it into the cart. So that was a task one, to collect all the items. I have collected all the items. Now I'm going ahead to proceed to checkout. Now again there are certain set of tasks at this level. So it's going to ask me the address where you want to get it delivered. It's going to ask me the payment method that I'm going to make use of. Right. So the moment I go ahead and give all those things and click on process that place the order, it is going to deduct the money from my Amazon account or from the credit card or debit card, and then it's going to wait for a while, maybe just few seconds, to check out if the payment was successful. If the payment was successful, I'll get an email to my ID saying that your order has been confirmed and so time it will be delivered to you. So that is how the complete work flow process occurs. Does that help, Divya? Yeah. Any more queries or questions before we close for the day here? Shiva,
One
Rahul,
question.
Divya.
Yeah, one question, Tom. So, as a cloud engineer, so is that our responsibility to write the code or a templates?
See, HWF is currently not used much across in the companies at this point of time because they already have some third-party tools like Pega, BPM, because which are highly matured tools. So currently, HWF is not much in use across any of the corporate environments. See, the most important things that are used across in any of the cloud environment, I would say, is compute, storage, database, networking, and the security. Rest of the services, what we see here, we also have available as a third-party tools. Now, if I talk about the code pipeline, code deploy, code build, code commit. Now, I'm not sure how many people actually use the code commit, but in the real time, most of the third-party companies would use either the Git, Jenkins, or Git or Stash, or there are a lot of other tools like GitLabs, GitHub.com, and other things, right? So most of the people prefer to use those third-party tools most of the time. Now, if you go for the code pipeline or code deploy, people usually take the help of like Jenkins or maybe the Circle CI, Semaphore. These are the tools that they use across. So Amazon is just trying to accommodate everything into the one platform. So people are still exploring a lot of different services that are coming across new every day and day in and out. Like AR and VR is completely new, which has been recently launched in the reInvent. And if you remember, there was a third-party service from the IBM, which was MQ series and applicate for the integration, which was usually like a middleware. Now Amazon has gotten its own MQ that is called as Amazon MQ. So they are just trying to help people that they don't have to go to any third-party tools and start integrating all this into one of them. But of course, they are still emerging from that because they are not all up to that maturity level which the third-party tools are. So if you talk about the Jenkins, which is used for the code pipeline and code build, it's much more mature, which is being used by corporates for a few years now almost. Before the cloud was much into the usage, people have been using the Jenkins for completely putting the CI/CD pipeline, that is continuous integration and developments happening. So they are just trying to mature and keep their environment up to date. So if you go to another cloud platform, you will not see so many services because all the other cloud platforms are basically still competing to get how the compute, storage, and database services are made available in the AWS itself. So they are not even able to match the maturity of how the Amazon has set up the compute services or the storage services. So they're still able to, they're still are trying to figure it out. And Amazon has still far ahead been with all these services where they're trying to also integrate third-party tools into the cloud. Any more things before we close?
No, thanks, Tom.
Thanks all. Have a great day, and we'll meet back again tomorrow at the same time, early morning. So I'll just have a word with the visual part so that we start a little early because I have one more batch starting off at the 8, so it's already 10 minutes late. Thanks all. Have a great day.